Welcome back to another episode of the BioBlueprint podcast, where we explore the minds behind innovation in CDMO, CRO, Pharma, and beyond. Today, we're joined by someone who lives at the crossroads of science, business, and bold transformation. Frederick is a chemical engineer who's now a hugely successful commercial leader with a PhD in process engineering and over 2 decades of experience. He's led everything from enzyme-based startups to global CDMO expansions. At Sequence, he's been the driving force behind innovation in flow chemistry, biocatalysis, and next-generation drug delivery technologies. From restructuring companies to securing multi-million euro investments. Frederick knows what it takes to turn a breakthrough idea into a commercial success while leading teams of scientists, engineers, and business developers along the way. Today, we're going to unpack how to scale science, navigate strategy, and what the future holds for pharma innovation. Frederick, welcome to the show. Frederick, thank you so much for joining us on the BioBlueprint podcast. It is a pleasure to sit down with you. We have lots of things to uncover. And I think a really good starting point would be if you can tell us a little bit more about CurePath, the positioning of the business in such a competitive landscape, and how it differs from other CDMOs, in your opinion.
Okay, thanks, Leonard. So it's a pleasure too. Okay, thanks for this discussion. So yeah, you're right. Let's start with CurePath. CurePath is an innovative CDMO company. We are located in Spain. Very focused. It has been existing for 13 years right now. And CurePath is super specialized on drug delivery solutions. So it means we're able to develop and manufacture up to GMP production some excipients for drug delivery. We are talking about non-viral drug delivery, polymers and lipids. And we can also develop and formulate the drug product and then go to the final manufacturing in sterile conditions of those products. So we are talking about solution for the delivery of RNA and DNA for cell and gene therapies, but it can also be conjugation of small APIs. Sometimes also we deliver some products for medical devices. Polymers, we've got a huge range of applications. So, well, actually we cover various kinds of markets. But really our differentiation is that we are completely focused on this. A lot of CDMOs exist. They cover, let's say, APIs, excipients, drug product, drug substance, various kind of, let's say, technologies. The spirit of CurePath is really to be focused on drug delivery. So, well, we perfectly know what it means to develop that kind of solution for the market.
Amazing, amazing. The terminology that you used was super specialized, and I feel like in today's world, CDMOs really have to be specialized in what they are doing. It can't be the case where you have different modalities, large molecules, small molecules. You cover a bit of everything. I think if you have that business model, you're doing a bit of everything, and you're not known in the industry as a go-to CDMO for that particular thing. And obviously for CurePath, this is for the last 13 years the approach you've taken and how you guys are positioning yourself in the market. So that's really interesting. The other thing I wanted to ask you is you've worn many hats from R&D engineer to business unit president. What's been the most surprising lesson transitioning from science to leadership?
So I would say, yeah, I don't know if it's surprising, but this is definitely a learning. A learning is that every experience counts, basically. So I am still using what I learned when I was an R&D engineer working at the lab, because, well, you kind of understand what problems can happen both at R&D and manufacturing level. So actually, even now that let's say, transition from really engineer and chemical engineering background and really R&D work on the ground, where I transition, let's say, step by steps from this to more business position and management position. But actually, I'm still using my previous technological background. And I think this is a real strength because you are more able to understand first the customer needs, okay, and you have to to speak about science and technology with the customers, and also you are if you have really an experience from the ground, you can anticipate what can be the needs and the problems to overcome. So actually, you even if you are in a business position, it's really a strength to be able to talk with the technical team. Speaking about the R&D, quality, production. So I'm really grateful actually of this path. Okay, and now this is what I really like to do is to make the link to gate between the technology and science and the business actually.
Amazing. So just to take away from that, what you're saying is your days back in the lab, your R&D experience, you're still using that to this day. As you said in your own words, every experience counts, and to really understand the customer, the needs and the wants, you can anticipate ahead, knowing this knowledge, knowing the bridge between science and technology, which then allows you to really understand and drive projects and business conversations forward. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, I think exactly. And what is surprising actually, you are coming back to your first question, is that even if you have an experience in a very different market, it can still apply in some way. For instance, I really started in let's say dairy sugar purification industries. This was my first job when I was developing R&D. So yeah, you can imagine applications, even technologies, they are very different from what I can encounter right now on the pharma market. But actually, you can still draw some parallel lines. You know, you can still find some similar concerns, problems, and solutions as well. Some like to call it cross-fertilization between different fields. So I really stick to this. And I think this is super interesting to have profiles who have experienced different kind of markets actually, because yeah, it helps to find different solutions. You are not staying in silos, you see.
No, I do. I do. It's not often you see somebody transitioning from another industry into pharma. I know it happens, obviously, but it's not something that happens often, and it's not a common thing. And especially in the sort of commercial space, in the business development, sales, marketing, people tend to really start from, you know, if you're 25, 30 years into the space, you're a chief commercial officer, sometimes quicker. But it's really starting from the ground up and selling and going door to door, that sort of stuff. But in the pharma space, you say, obviously, if I understood correctly, skills are transferable from the other industry. How did you first find moving from your initial industry to the pharma space? What was the transition like?
So first, there was a starting point, and actually, maybe we didn't know each other at that time, Leona, but it was actually someone like you, like a very good guy from HR, from a cabinet, okay, recruitment company, and he just came to me, and there was an open position as the idea was to create an innovation department for actually a CDMO, which was called Sequence. It was 10 years ago. So at first, this new company was looking for someone experienced in pharma. And actually, I've been contacted by a recruiter who was interested actually by a kind of different profile. So I was really like the challenger in the story, because he came to me saying, "Is it kind of exact words were like, well, you don't have the profile, your experience, it doesn't correspond to the brief, but in some way, it looks like with soft skills and open mind, maybe it can make it." So something like this. So I was kind of the challenger in the interviews, and actually we found a good fit. And ultimately, this CDMO, who was really into chemistry and pharma, found interesting to try something different with someone which was not from the field initially. So the idea was really to bring some new ideas, fresh ideas, new eye, okay, and well, it worked pretty well actually. So I went through a lot of training, okay, to understand the pharmaceutical environment, especially the regulatory environment, the life cycle of the product, which is very specific. It requires deep learning. But well, if you hold tight, actually, it's very interesting and actually, well, you are driven by passion, in this kind of market. So this is how it happened. Thanks to a recruiter who was kind of open-minded, and then after it gets a lot of training, and you can use your soft skills and your previous experience.
I absolutely love that example, and I'm not here to talk good about recruiters or headhunters, but it's a really strong example. Sometimes in processes over the last 9 years I've been doing this, we have had situations where a certain profile or a certain description is one thing, but you have to go beyond that. You have to look beyond words, and you have to how I've been taught is out of the box candidates. Sometimes it's a different skill they're bringing, a different industry, but that person can come with, like you say, fresh ideas, a new perspective, and your soft skills can be transferred. You do the training, and you can do the job. And evidently, of course, it's really worked out. So huge congratulations on that. Moving on to your experience as someone who's led both startup-sized biotech teams and large pharma groups. How do you maintain innovation momentum at scale?
Yeah. Okay. So you need to adapt obviously to the size and the type of company you're working for. Of course. Of course, when you are, let's say, in a startup, when this is your number one objective and you are very early in the development, this is your full life, is based on innovation. How do I differentiate? How can I find the value? How can I protect the innovation? How can I find the funds to make them live? Okay, this is your daily life. After, when you're bringing this, let's say, innovation to larger companies, let's say, I thought you need to regroup the people around you. The people have daily objectives, and very urgent objectives, just delivering the budget right now. So at some points, maybe it can be sometimes counterintuitive, okay, or let's say contradictory efforts to run the daily business where you need immediate focus and actions and longer term actions for innovation. And you need to maintain this. So how do you do this? Actually, at Sequence, the way I proceeded was to identify some more quicker wins and let's say very pragmatical innovations. So you are not necessarily obliged to go for breakthrough innovation from day one, okay? You can already, and again, I'm coming back to this idea of finding solution from previous experiences, adapting it to your new situation, and finding some new ways to proceed, some quick wins, some quick savings, that kind of thing. And then the people, they start thinking, oh yeah, okay, actually, we are not only talking about 10 years term projects. We are talking about some changes that can be applied right now, which can be efficient right now. So actually, this was my, let's say, starting point. It was having the people understand that with innovation, we can talk also about quick wins. And then if you've got this, then you've got more, let's say, confidence, more energy, more resources, more support from the let's say, top management. And then you can, let's say, deliver some more ambitious longer term projects. So I hope this answers your question, but this is all, let's say, I consider bringing like innovation on a larger scale.
Okay, so from a practical standpoint, you've joined a company, they have ambition to grow, they have certain targets they want to meet, they really want to grow, they are all about putting everything into the business. You join that company, like I said, you have to differentiate between long-term goals and daily business, and it's easier and it's better to identify quicker wins rather than just focus on the long-term picture, because that builds momentum, that builds confidence, that builds trust as well, which then means people are in with you in this ride for a long term. So just when you're going through that, it's easy to look back, I can imagine, and summarize it in this way. But just a really practical thing, when you're going through the chaos, when you're going through the rush of managing this, And for somebody who's maybe currently doing that, what would be your number one advice to that person?
I would say let's look at what's in your hands. Actually, what
Yeah.
do you have? What products have been already developed but have maybe not gone through their full potential on the market? Because maybe sometimes you don't have a lot to unlock. You know, maybe at some point you've got a kind of you can place a product on another market with some adaptations. You just need to understand the context, economics, regulatory, and so. And yeah, it's really let's look at what you can valorize right now, and then if you've got some again quicker successes, then it's more helpful to build a more ambitious program portfolio.
I love that. I love that. Let's talk a little bit about the technologies. Obviously, you've dealt with. So we're looking at flow chemistry, biocatalysis, HPAPI. Which of these do you believe will redefine the future of drug development, and why, in your opinion?
Okay, so there we are talking about, let's say, three different things, of course, because
Yeah.
HPHPI, hypotent, this is just a category of product, but this is like a major one. Of course, this is market number one for oncology, where a lot of hypotent products are involved. So let's say within HPAPI, actually, you already have over segmentation. You know, like, you have ADCs, antibody conjugates, and so and so.
Yeah.
So let's say hypotent is really is a must-have in the for the companies who want to address oncology with especially with small molecules and biologics, because you just need this in your portfolio of technology if you want to address this. When we are talking about biocatalysis, flow chemistry, these are very interesting technologies. They don't apply anywhere. Okay, they apply at some point where this is really useful. For example, biocatalysis is a very efficient tool if you want to do to produce one enantiomer, if you want to do some chiral chemistry. And this is an alternative to producing a mixture of enantiomers and then separating them. It can be very economic. So yes, maybe a bit more effort on the development, but at the end, very rewarding in terms of economics. So there are some examples on the market. I mean, it has been existing for maybe let's say commercially speaking, for maybe 20, 30 years in the field of pharmaceuticals. So now the barrier you need to overcome is more psychological barrier at developers, okay? Because they think this is longer, more expensive, but actually not really, okay? You just have to overcome this barrier and you can find some very good applications for this. Flow chemistry, it's the same. You don't need to apply it all the time. In a lot of cases, classical batch chemistry is absolutely okay if you have no concern in terms of purity, in terms of safety, in terms of productivity. Developing a batch, it's easier. It will make it. You will have more flexibility in operations. But if you are addressing some very specific kind of chemistry, hazardous chemistry, very energetic compounds, or if you really want to increase productivity in a short, let's say, restrained space, then continuous manufacturing is an awesome option. So as very often, there is not one solution fits all. There is excellent potential for that kind of technologies. You need to detect very fast when it can be applied. And then after, you need, let's say, to overcome, psychological blockage in order to say, if we develop it from the start, it will not be longer. It will not be more expensive. Okay, we can make it at the same time. So there is a
Okay.
kind of there is some I think cultural aspects there. You need to spread the culture among the company you are working with to open minds to boost kind of, let's say, newer technologies.
Okay, really interesting. I'm not gonna. I'm a headhunter. I'm not a scientist. And in everything that you're saying, from what I understand in a really basic way, and I have to say this, I've been told oncology, obviously, there was a big gold rush and everyone invested in that. We're in a time and place now where neurology, CNS, I know CNS has been going for a while, but neurology, these radiopharmaceuticals, for example, these sort of different areas are now the new rush. Biologics, obviously, and the point I'm making is technologies will differ. From my understanding, if you look at AI, that's going to play a big role in this industry and is already playing a big role. I guess for somebody to simply really understand what the future looks like for life sciences with technology, how would you describe that in a really simple way?
Let's say for now a long time, oncology has been a major field for investment and funding. Number one, for sure. What's interesting is that you have different choices, actually, technology choices for oncology, and I would say it tends to be more and more specialized. Okay, the idea of personalized medicine is still there. So I think you can also make the story, over the last decade about what has been developed from the very first HPAPI, which were, yes, indeed effective to address the let's say the cancer cells, but where you had concerns in terms of toxicity for the rest of the body or for the other same cells. And then we went to more specific developments, so conjugation, encapsulation of the APIs to have more targeted approaches, to have a safer drugs. Came also the antibody drug conjugate, so another level in terms of complexity of the development, to be very specific and bring the potent molecule right on the target. You had CAR-T, chimeric antigen receptor, which was at first an in vitro application. So you take the cells of the patient, you modify them in vitro, you re-inject the cells. And now, let's say, a lot of fundings today are going to next generation, which is in vivo CAR-T. So how to do the same kind of thing, but directly in the patient's body. And this requires some highly specific delivery systems. Just coming back to CurePath, at first, this is exactly the type of therapies we are addressing at CurePath. You need really specialty excipients, very fine formulation in order to be both specific to there is a challenge on extrahepatic delivery and to be safe, to reduce the toxicity and to be so efficient, safety and let's say specific target deliveries. These are the real challenges. So again, a lot of fundings are going there right now. But this is quite moving. There are innovations very regularly. It's going very fast. In that sense, of course, COVID has accelerated a lot of those developments, especially with the RNA technology. And let's say the very fast development at a huge scale of LNP delivery systems for RNA, it opened a lot of doors. So it redefined really the future of medicine, as you told it.
And I feel like obviously it's constantly changing with what we have to deal with every day, the geopolitical issues. I'm taking this in a different way, but I'm saying it's going to constantly evolve and get better and better for years to come. So it's going to continue to stay a really exciting space.
Yeah.
Moving on to your time at Sequence. In terms of the business, obviously you helped reposition the company and you also helped them double in revenue. What does a successful strategic pivot looks like?
Strategic, tell me again, strategic what, please?
So when you were working back at Sequence, of course,
Yeah.
You helped them double in revenue. You helped the business in more ways than one. My question is, what does a successful strategic move look like? What did you do to get them to that point?
Okay, so Sequence over the last 10 years has, let's say, first of all, doubled in size. So there has been a lot of acquisition. Initially, if you come back 10 years ago, Sequence was mostly positioned on chemical and large-scale APIs, like aspirin, paracetamol. And really the change that occurred in the last 10 years was really to reposition Sequence as a CDMO. Mostly. So it went through several acquisitions in Germany, US, Europe, also to do this. And together with, let's say, innovation, well, we had to find a way to bring the new technologies, the ones we mentioned before, actually, inside Sequence. So to develop flow chemistry, indeed, to go more towards HPAPIs, as you said. Biocatalysis was already a kind of legacy technology from one of the company we acquired, but yeah, there we changed the model there in order to first develop it as a CDMO offer, but also to develop some products and to have recurring revenues with enzymes directly. So yeah, let's say the way to participate to this growth was most of all on the technology side, bringing the new technologies to strengthen especially the CDMO offer to the new customers.
And how do you get buy-in from the leadership to make these things happen? Acquiring a new business, it can be messy. Obviously, it's a really good thing, but merging two companies together, two different teams together, changing mindsets, getting the leadership to really buy into that. How do you make that happen? What challenges can you see when you push for all of these changes, new technologies, new implementation, all of that sort of stuff?
No, yeah. This is a key topic. At Sequence, we have observed, we have made several acquisitions, and you're right. The cultural thing is super important. Just to give some examples, among the M&A steps that were made at the time of Sequence, some M&A steps in the field of cosmetic with plant-based ingredients. Several ones in the field of CDMO with also some specificities in terms of technologies. Everything was in the field of, let's say, small molecule APIs. That was the common thing, around Sequence. We were on small molecules rather than biologics. At least at the time I was there. So yeah, actually, I would say even when there is a M&A, I would say we need to listen to each other. Because this is the first step, and business model can be different. Customer base are different. The technology, the constraints are different. It's absolutely not the same thing to produce, let's say, on one single unit a product every day and to have the exact same quality going out of the plant every day. It's absolutely not the same business as going to a CDMO market, where basically you are changing what's in the reactor every week, something like this. So these are very different models. So it needs a lot of listening between the people to understand each other and to get to know how to work together. And then after, what can we bring one to each other? So top management at Sequence worked a lot on the commercial synergies. How you can leverage each one customer. This is obviously number one. What benefits can you bring out from a bundle offers, for example? And after, you can work together again on how to use the technology which is there to develop the product which is there. Okay, how can you adapt the product which is there to this new market potential open there? And then how do you collaborate together to build a stronger portfolio of product? Then at some point you kind of put in the same basket all the technologies, the customer, the experience, also the quality regulatory level you have. And then you imagine, okay, what's next? What can I do with this? Where are the niche? What niches can I address? Where am I strong? what can we do together, something like this. But I would say, yeah, point number one with M&A is really let's listen to each other and learn about the market specificities.
Yeah, amazing, really interesting. The next question I want to ask you, I feel like we've kind of touched upon this already earlier in the discussion, which was around obviously your lab experience leading you to a hugely successful leader within the CDMO space, commercial leader. But I want to ask you a question. What role does scientific communication or scientific know-how play in business development, especially in technical fields like CDMO services and clinical APIs?
They're very, very important, very important. CDMOs is a huge field. There are dozens of players worldwide. And they have, so some are very special, are really expert in their field, like Rapaf, and some are, let's say, playing on a bigger playground, like Sequence before, where they can address a lot of different markets and with various technology. So differentiating is a challenge. I would say, communicating on your strength is absolutely key. Having the customer really aware of what you are doing, of what you are doing well, and I think this is a key point. And indeed, it goes through various strategies of communication. You can, of course, basic marketing stuff, of course, just to present the offer, to spread awareness and branding, toward the community, of course. But when you really want to appear as an expert in your field, indeed, I think the scientific communication is a key one, and you need to be very specific. You need to be precise. So either you are going through peer review articles, or you can also communicate on a lot on the network. You can have blog, LinkedIn, and then the point is that scientific communication, it stays in time. If you are writing a peer review article, it will stay. I mean, 10 years after, you can still find it. Even 50 years after, you still find it. Patents is an excellent way to, of course, this is to protect your innovation, but this is actually a very good way to communicate. Patent is, let's say, forever, when this is published. And the people, when they are looking for a specific thing, they are also doing some patent service. So yes, absolutely critical to show your expertise, really your expert field. It makes the difference. So I strongly promote it. Yeah.
So, someone who is young, someone who maybe has finished a degree in a scientific field, they want to get into the commercial side of the CDMO world. What can they expect? What do they need to do to make it a success?
So there is a mindset. There is a mindset in the CMO world, CDMO world, I would say. To kind of summarize, I think it has to be super clear that our task is to manage uncertainty. This is to manage uncertainty, because in CDMOs, you have several different customers. You constantly acquire new customers. Of course, depending on your position on the market, but most of the CDMOs, they address also very early stage companies, companies who are in preclinical phase 1. So our job, of course, is to make it work, to help them to go to the market, to deliver them with the good service, right product, methods, robustness. There is the project to bring it to market. But let's say, as a business person in the CDMO, you need to manage uncertainty. Sometimes the fundings are not there, or sometimes you've got just a stop in the project while your customer is looking for fundings. That's normal. And at some of the points you've got a rush. Now the funding is there, and we need to go very fast to reach the next milestone. So and during that time, well, you've got some capacities which are limited. So you need to serve your customers in the smartest way with limited capacities, but with uncertain portfolio of projects. So of course, what you want to do is to have as much robustness as you want. But well, this is also our core business to attract new customers, especially early stage, because they will be the future, big players on the market tomorrow. So you just have to consider that, indeed, there is a low success rate in pharma. If you compare the number of projects which are in preclinical, only a small percentage is going to commercial. But well, this is both very rewarding for the customer and actually for the CDMO as well when you are successful. But you need a good pipeline at the start, which is very moving in order to have good recurring business in phase 4 and commercial phase at the end. The thing is that as a business person, you need to adapt your service and your level of understanding at each stage of the project. When you are at preclinical stage with your customer, you need to help them manage the uncertainty. To give them the clue about what's coming next. What will it cost? Okay, to go to next milestone. You need to de-risk the project. And then, as more as you are going toward the commercial phase, the needs are changing. More and more, you need more robustness of supply, de-risking the supply chain, having several qualified raw materials, proposing some backup in terms of capacities. And so let's say the service changes is evolving all along the clinical phases. So I would say, coming back to your question, if someone wants to be a player in that field, to work in a business team in CDMO, I think these are the 2-3 main points. Manage uncertainties. This is part of the business, and you need to help your customer with it. You need to be super flexible in finding solutions, highly technical also, and you need also to adapt the service to the customer and to the clinical phase you are in.
Okay, really interesting. I'm going to ask a controversial question maybe. So in recruitment, to get into recruitment, the bar is pretty low. You don't need to have certain qualifications. If you're, as they say, if you can speak well, then you can get into recruitment. And ultimately, the point I'm making is anyone can do recruitment if you give it long enough. It's tough, it's hard. You have to really put yourself out there, out of your comfort zone. But really, anyone can do it if they stick with it long enough. So my question is, does someone need to have a scientific background in order to be successful in business development for sales and CDMO in particular? Or can it be somebody who transitions, say, for example, from a different industry and is good at sales and they can sell? What would be your answer to that?
Okay, no, it's your excellent point. So I would say first, of course, we are talking about highly technical and scientific fields. So, of course, a scientific background it helps, of course. And actually, I'm pretty sure. I don't have numbers. Maybe you have, Leonard. But I mean, if you are looking at the business developer population, a large part of them are actually coming from the science, are engineers who switch to business. Not everyone, but a large part. At the end, I think it depends on what is the real job the people will have to do. Because, no surprise, you've got different kinds of profiles also in business, actually. To stick to the basics, well, you've got the hunters and the farmers. Okay. So again, of course, technological background it helps, but I think especially in the field of hunting, someone who was more experienced in sales and has also maybe not the top training in technology level can really make it, because actually hunting is quite rare. It's quite rare profile, in the field. Since this is a technical field, Yeah, you actually have a lot of scientists or ex-scientists, being business people, and that's nice. But maybe it's not their first wish to do some massive hunting. When I'm talking
Right.
about hunting, I'm still talking about the cold calls, cold mails, attending the trade shows and opening the doors with everyone, or opening proactively the doors. And this is also some kind of mindset. So to your point, yes, I think that someone really skilled in hunting, even with not a straight technical background or pharma background, can make it. Well, but really on this specific kind of more on this specific kind of activities. At the end, the business people, they can also rely on the other technical team from the CDMOs. They are not really often working alone. Actually, they have to collaborate with the technical people, so we support each other.
Amazing. It's a really good point and a really nice way of putting it, and it brilliantly links me to the next question I want to ask you, which is over the course of your career, you've managed 30 plus PhDs and engineers at once. How do you foster that collaboration mindset between scientists, between leaders, and external clients? How do you bring everyone together?
So, okay. First, there is internal fostering and external fostering with the customer. So, internal fostering, I would say, this is clearly the kind of well, this is what innovation departments are there for. Okay, to foster this kind of interaction. So, in a very pragmatic manner, I would say speak together, okay? Speak together because we need to break the silos in order to foster some new ideas. I strongly believe in it. I mean, in having people with different backgrounds in the same room. Okay, whether this is on a permanent base, whether this is in a shared office, or whether we are creating dedicated meetings for this, but actually to create this opportunity. So as the people, they just demystify the other one's, technology, the other one's background, and then can open ideas. So this is number one for internal purpose. After, for external purpose for customers, let's say two things. The first one is a bit similar. Okay, let's get into the same room. Let's, where for example, a tech day, organizing a tech day to have an exchange not only on your current project, okay, the one you're working on, but what the others are doing, okay, what other technologies you're proposing, what are your other solutions, and on the customer side, what are their other projects, and then can we find some fit actually. So ever you do this together, and for example, technical day, you're organizing something in one place with everyone is in the room, is a good way. Or you can also do this proactively. I mean, if you are hunting for new customers, you can also look at its portfolio. You've got some information. I mean, on the clinical stages, you can find what they are doing if you look at patents, clinical portfolio. And then you can also start thinking on yourself, what can I propose? And then bring a proposal on the table in order to open some doors. Yeah, the people don't necessarily have the time to look at everything, all the technology. So well, we can make this kind of effort.
Amazing, amazing. I love that. Moving on to the investments that you've handled over the course of your career. Of course, you validated multi-million euro GMP investments. What are the key decision-making factors behind greenlighting such high stakes infrastructure?
Business plan is a key. Huh? Let's say, but this is very difficult because especially in the field of CDMO, because you need to build, if you want to invest in new capabilities. First, you've got something like 18 months between the time you push a button, the time the plant is there. So you've got this gap, okay, to overcome. So actually, when you are building the project, you need to have a potential. Of course, the best is to have already some signed contracts, but you cannot always make it because sometimes you are talking about only about custom products. So you have not proven yet maybe that you have done it. Okay, so of course the best case is to support with a firm contract, and then it clearly helps the decision, obviously. But if you don't have enough of this, well, you need to build the most robust pipe of opportunities as possible. And then it's a mix between prospection, commitment of your existing customers, declarations of interest while you gather all the potential. And actually, at the end, maybe let's say there is no magic. Okay, if this is a field of interest, if you've got the competencies and you can show that you can make it, and then well, you will have more opportunities to let's say feel your future capabilities, and then it strongly helps with the decision to invest. So well, we have done this. So CurePath did it a lot, investing massively during the last years to extend GMP capabilities to serve especially drug delivery solutions. And now we are really equipped with excellent capabilities for this. At Sequence, we did it as well on various kind of technologies. Some you already mentioned, actually, flow chemistry, enzyme production, and on my side, I worked more specifically on also polymer for conjugation of APIs, RNA deliveries, and yeah, we invested in a workshop dedicated to this. This is a great field. So yeah, you need to gather all opportunities, customers, and leads around the same project, and to make the design so as it can fit with the different people needs. And after, yeah, you need to either secure with contracts or with the strongest commitment you can have with your pipeline of customers for this.
Great. Sounds like, well, not sounds like. Obviously, you've been through this. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot
It's
of
a journey.
different things. Yeah, a lot of different things have to come together for it to work, and then you get to the finished product, which is never a finished product. I imagine that hard work, that dedication, that commitment from everyone on board feels great, feels something special. So sounds really informative. Thank you for that. I have one last question for you. People who are watching this, especially young professionals in chemical engineering today, what skill or mindset shift is now essential that wasn't a decade ago, 10 years ago from now?
Oh, this is a strong one. This is a tough question. Let me focusing on to this. I would say what. Let me think a second, Leonard. Okay. I think it was already the case 10 years ago, but maybe it tends to intensify as well. You also have to deal with geopolitical context, actually, which is moving a lot recently. So on one side, there is all the bunch of soft skills and hard skills we mentioned before. Hard skill, of course, technological background. Soft skills, flexibility, understanding of the customer needs, manage uncertainty, and so on and so on. But right now, we are since COVID and over the last years, we are facing some very quick changes on a kind of geopolitical level. We can talk about the US tariff. Okay, it has an impact a bit on the relationships between customers and suppliers, about the strategy of supply. It is not necessarily, it can be an obstacle for European companies, but it can also open some opportunities, okay? Because some customers are revising, their strategies of supply. So let's say it's a bit both ways. But I mean, maybe that's something very specific to our period right now, is that things are evolving a lot due to relationships between continents, between countries, and you have to live with it. I mean, you have to consider it. You cannot just keep it. So yes, there is still a lot of competitions, but the rules of the games are a bit impacted by this.
Exactly. I mean,
Tariffs is obviously a big topic right now. Everyone is feeling that. Everyone is going through that. I work with some. I'm lucky enough to work with some Chinese CDMOs, some key players in the industry, and even with 150% tariff, some of these guys still can offer really competitive pricing, even with so much tariff in place. But of course, it creates uncertainty. It creates, it creates it tears people apart rather than bringing people together, and it is creating an unnecessary stress that wasn't there 10 years ago. Maybe you can say something like the Biosecure Act. Many years ago, I think there was another very similar act happened, but it wasn't as intense as this. So with the Biosecure Act, with tariffs, it is a tough market, but it's something we navigate through and something we're dealing with at the moment. So I think it's been a really great conversation, and I really appreciate all of your input. I feel a lot of people can take a lot of really key things from here. What's the best way for people to contact you, for people to connect with you?
LinkedIn is great. That's okay.
Brilliant. And I obviously CPHI is coming up. Are you guys attending? Is Curapath attending any?
So Curapath does attend with a big team and a booth. On my side, I will go for the lonesome cowboy approach on another another event, which is at the exact same time. I'm going to PODD on drug delivery in Boston at the same time, and I'm really going like more on the hunter style, which we really like. So I really intend to meet a lot of people I already know, and also new leads, new potential partners there at Port. So yeah, that's it.
I wish you continued success. Excited to follow the growing journey of Curapath, and we keep in contact, and I'm sure we'll see each other soon. Thank you so much, and we'll speak soon.
Thanks a lot, Leonard. Thanks for the conversation. Bye bye.
Pleasure. Take care now. Bye bye.